Alrighty. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to continue where we left off from last week's shiur in Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel. Last week we covered Eis Aleph and Beis, and this week we're going to start from Eis Gimel. Just want to start off by looking at the Pesach Davar, the introduction, about what this booklet was given out for, and it was given out B'Kesher im Hagdolas v'Harchavas Beis HaKnesses Beis HaMedrash HaMerkazi the Lubavitch Lubavitch 770. This is in connection with the expansion of the shul, the main shul 770. Hinenu Metziim la'er Kuntres Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel from the Rebbe's Sichos. Okay, Eis Gimel. Now, before we go into Eis Gimel, I just want to touch upon what we spoke about in Aleph and Beis. In Aleph and Beis, the Rebbe brings the concept about mikdash ma'at, that Hashem says that throughout Golus, I'm always going to be with the Yidden in the mikdash ma'at. And then there's a main mikdash ma'at, and the main mikdash ma'at is instead of the Beis HaMikdash. It's in the place of the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, Eis Gimel. The Rebbe is going to now explain. Until now, we were talking about how it is in Golus, but what about what happens when we have the Geula, when we have the redemption? So v'oid v'ikar. This is even more so. Shehamayla miyuchedes b'mikdash ma'at the Beis Rabeinu nimsheches gam u'b'yeser se'eis u'b'yeser ois k'shen hasidin lihigoyel. It's actually even more relevant to know this main mikdash ma'at, the mikdash ma'at of Beis Rabbeinu, is even more. It's even more important when we're talking about the time of redemption. As we see, Sha'az Kamshach Hasugya Asidim, but you're going to see us about the Midrash Shebibovel Sheyikbu Be'eretz Yisrael. The Gemara over there, we're talking about the Gemara Megillah Daf Chav Tesam at Aleph. The Gemara says. We spoke about it before when Abaya said about the Beit Knishta, the Hutzal, or Beit Knishta, the Shavi Yosef. So the Gemara says that it's quoting Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says, "Look how beloved the Yidden are to Hashem. That wherever the Yidden are in Golus, the Shechina is always with the Yidden." And then the Gemara counts out a few places. The Gemara says, "Galu lebavel Shechina imahen," and then it says. And then and when they will in the future also be redeemed, Hashem will also be with them. And then it says Asidin bate knisiyos ubate midrash shebebavel sheyikbu be'eretz Yisrael, that the shuls and bate midrashes of Bavel will in the future be planted in Eretz Yisrael. Hashras Hashchina b'chol makom shegalu Yisrael al yidei hamikdosh ma'at shebe'arotzes asher ba'u sham. The Hashem's resting, Hashem's dwelling in all the places wherever the Yidden are in Golus, through the mikdash ma'at, as we quoted from the pasuk where Hashem says ba'arotzes asher ba'u sham, in the lands where the Yidden get exiled. Me'ein v'dugmas hashras Hashchina b'mikdash shebiYerushalayim. As we mentioned before, that Hashem comes into the mikdash ma'at, and there's the main mikdash ma'at where there's the dwelling of the Shechina that is similar to the Beis HaMikdash that was in Yerushalayim. So he says this is Eina Ela B'zman HaGolus. The Shechina comes into the mikdash ma'at when they're in Golus. Avala achrei she'asidin lihigoyel. But after the Yidden already are redeemed, Tachzer Gilui Shechina L'Yerushalayim. V'lo tishor sham b'makim shegala Yisrael kvar. Then the revelation of the Shechina will return to Yerushalayim. It will not remain in the places where the Yidden were in Golus. Haynu shelo tiyeh hashras Hashechina b'makom b'chutz la'aretz she'alav amad hamikdash ma'at. Meaning the Shechina will not stay behind in Chutz La'aretz, in the place where the Mikdash Ma'at was. Kivan she'hamikdosh ma'at ye'aker mimakim zeh ve'yikpa be'eretz Yisrael b'mikdash hagadol shebYerushalayim. Because this Mikdash Ma'at, along with every other basic Knesset, basic Medrash, in Galus, will be uprooted from its place in Galus and will be implanted and established in Eretz Yisrael by the great Beis Hamikdosh in Yerushalayim. Now there are some cool points here, and in the footnotes, if you look at Ha'ara 23, first of all, the Rebbe spells out that we're talking about. He's quoting a Marsha over here that when it says Asidim Lihigoel, that when the Yidden are redeemed, that all the shuls are going to go to the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim. We're talking about redeemed from the final Galus, from the Galus of Edom, which is in the Galus that we are now. But when there were past Geulais, like when the Yidden came out of Galus Bavel originally, the Shechina actually remained in those shuls of Bavel even afterwards. And the Shechina still remains in all the shuls of Galus until the time of returning, until the time of being redeemed from Galus Edom, which when we are redeemed from Galus Edom, that's when all the shuls will move to the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim. And to prove this, the Maharsha points out that when Abaye, who's the one that told us, we asked the question in the Gemara, where is the Shechina in Bavel? You're telling me that wherever the Yidden are in Galus, the Shechina is with them. And Abaye says in Bavel, it's in the shul of Hutzal and the shul of Shaf v'Yasif. Sometimes in this shul, sometimes in that shul. And we know that Abaye was several hundred years after the Yidden were already redeemed from Bavel. Now it happens to be that Abaye was in Bavel. That's where he lived, but he wasn't there during the time of Galus Bavel. The Galus Bavel, which was in the times still way before Abaye. Abaye was an Amoira, the fourth generation of Amoiras of Amiroim in the times of the Gemara, and the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni was built after they came up from Bavel. It was a long time before Abaye was the Geula from Bavel already. Nonetheless, Abaye says that where is it in Bavel? It's in this shul in Hutzal and in Shafi Yosef. So you see, Abaye is referring to those shuls as this is where the Shechina is now. So what we know is that the Shechina stays in these shuls as long as we're waiting for the final Geula. And then we have Ha'ara 25. Over here, the Rebbe brings a Teves from the page before this Megillah Daf Chav Tes Amud Aleph. In the page before Megillah Daf Chav Ches Amud Beis, there's a Teves there, and he says, "L'chein batei knisiyos shebibovel al t'nai hein asuyin." The shuls that are in Bavel are built on a condition. So this is the words from the Gemara over there. The Gemara says that the shuls in Bavel are built on a condition that you're allowed to do other things in there. And Tosfos explains that what it's talking about is kishacharav, when the shul gets destroyed. So it helps that they have a condition. It helps that they have a condition when they're built. What's this condition that the shuls in Bavel are built with? La'oisan shebebavel, shaharei le'eis by goyel b'meheda b'yameinu tifka kedushasan. They are built with a condition, which is that when the Redeemer comes, b'meheda b'yameinu, then the holiness of these shuls in Bavel, in the shuls in Galus, will be removed, because this shul will move to Eretz Yisrael. So originally, even when the shul was built in Galus, it's already built with a Tanai that this is one day going to move, this Kedusha. And therefore, if the shul gets destroyed, it doesn't have the same holiness because it helps that it has a condition that it's anyways going to move one day. back to the inside of the Sikha. V'lachein, second paragraph on this page. V'lachein amru b'medrash la'asid lavayiyah beis hamikdosh gadol ki Yerushalayim shebe'elam hazeh. The Medrash in Shir Hashirim Rabbah explains that la'asid lavai, the Beis Hamikdash, is going to be as big as Yerushalayim is currently. Shebe'elam hazeh, the Yerushalayim of our times. Lefi. So this is the Marsha. So the Marsha explains why does the Medrash say that la'asid lavai, the Beis Hamikdash, is going to be as big as Yerushalayim is right now. So the Marsha explains the Fisha Yerushalayim Habenuya, because in Yerushalayim Habenuya la'asid, in the future Yerushalayim yiyeh chubra la lemikdash yachtav kol makaymes shavat knisiyos shahayu ba'elam hazeh. Connected to the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim of the future will be all of the places of all the shuls and study and yeshivas of Galus of Elam Hazeh will be connected to the Beis Hamikdash la'asid lavai. Therefore, it'll be so big. The Beis Hamikdash is not just going to be the Beis Hamikdash that we know about from the measurements that we learn, but the Beis Hamikdash is going to be much bigger because all the shuls from Galus are going to be connected to the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore it's going to be much bigger. Now, I just want to go into that Marsha a little bit. The Marsha brings a pasuk in Tehillim, which is actually the kapitel that we're saying for the Rebbetzin Chaim Mushkel's kapitel, Kuf Chaf Beis, and it says there, David HaMelech says, "Samachti kshoimrim li Beis Hashem neilech." Samachti. What's the exact pasuk? Shamayla is. 1 second. I thought I had it saved there. Okay. Samachti kishamrim li Beis Hashem neilech. David HaMelech says, I was happy when they said that we're going to the house of Hashem. And then he says, here, you know what? Let me just pull it up so I can see the psukim. For some reason, I'm going blank right now. Okay, so Samachti ba'imrim li Beis Hashem neilech, and then the next pasuk is Aimdais hayu ragleinu b'sharayich Yerushalayim. So Marsha adds a word over here, and he says that Ki'ilu Aimdais hayu ragleinu b'sharayich Yerushalayim. David was not in the times of the Beis Hamikdash. So what does he mean when he says, "I was happy when they told me that we're going to Hashem's house"? David is referring to going to a shul. A shul is Beis Hashem. But because a shul is going to soon be part of the Beis Hamikdash, so ki'ilu aimdais hayu ragleinu b'sharayich Yerushalayim. So when I go to shul, I'm so happy about going to shul, because it's as if when I go into the shul, it's as if I'm going into the shiurim of Yerushalayim, it's as if I'm going to the Beis Hamikdash. Why? So the next pasuk says, Yerushalayim habenuya, the future Yerushalayim, ki'ir shechubra lo yachtav, is a Beis Hamikdash that chubra lo yachtav, that all the shuls of Galus are connected to the Beis Hamikdash. So David HaMelech is saying, that's why I'm so happy when I go to a shul, because this shul is actually going to be part of the Beis Hamikdash eventually. So when I go to this shul, I'm actually by the Beis Hamikdash already. So that's the Marsha over there. Back to the Sikha. Okumerumas gambe pasuk. The Marsha actually continues with this pasuk also. The Marsha brings the pasuk. V'haviyosim el har kodshi. V'simachtim b'veis tfilasi. Goimer yikarei l'chol ha'amim. So the Marsha says like this. The pasuk, he's touching the pasuk in a little different shot. He says like this: Shebeis tfilasi. Hashem is saying, I'm going to make everyone happy. I'm going to give them the simcha in the house of my tefillah, the Beis Tfilasi. What's Beis Tfilasi going on? It's going on the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. Now, the pasuk explains by saying, what is based tefilasi? Yikarei l'chol ha'amim. My Beis Hamikdash is, and he continues, ba'olam hazeh, begalus, hu yikarei l'chol ha'amim. The hainu meaning, bate knesia is shebechol eretz ha'amim, sheyikbu la'asid be'eretz Yisrael, mechuber leBeis Hamikdash. Hashem is explaining like this. He says, "V'simachtim bebeis tefilasi." What is beis tefilasi? Yikarei l'chol ha'amim. It's the shuls of chol ha'amim, the shuls that were in all of the nations that the Yidden were in Galus. That's what beis tefilasi is. My Beis Hamikdash hashlishi is chol ha'amim, the shuls that were in all of the in all of the nations. So the Rebbe is showing us, what was this point? Until now, we were talking about when the mikdash ma'at is in Galus. Now we're trying to take it to the next step, that it's not just about when it's in Galus, but even after redemption, even later, it's a big deal about the mikdash ma'at and the main mikdash ma'at, as we're going to soon see. And he says, so there's even a greater maila in the mikdash ma'at. Kivan Shebibovel habenuya la'asit. Yechubra Allah lemikdash yachtav kol mekaymes bateknisiyos shehayu b'olam hazeh. Because in Yerushalayim habenuya, in the future, Yerushalayim, they will be connected to the Beis Hamikdash. All of the shuls that were in Olam Hazeh in Galus. So therefore, nimtza ata begalus comes out that now when you're in Galus and you're in a shul, Beis HaKnesses, harehu makim hamikdash kufei delasit. You are actually in the place of the future Beis Hamikdash. You are standing in the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi when you're in a shul in Galus. And here's what the Rebbe is going to say, and based on what we taught before, that there's Bechlal Mikdash Ma'at, that every shul and every yeshiva is a Mikdash Ma'at, and then there's a difference, then there's another level of Mikdash Ma'at, which is the main Mikdash Ma'at. So v'yesh loymar, shechibur habatik nisiyos. By the way, what we just said, that when you're in Galus, you're standing in the actual place of the Mikdash, these are the words from the Maharsha. I think it's good to know that, Bechlal, it's good to know where the sources are. But also, meaning this is not stam like spiritual, concepts and mystical things. We're talking about according to Nigla. V'yesh leimar shechibur habatik nisiyos shebechol eretz ha'amim mikdash ma'at lebeis hamikdash tela'asid yiyeh behesem ulefi erech chilukei hadargis shebeineihem. So the Rebbe says, it seems to say, yesh leimar, that now, Bechlal, a Yesh Leimar, when it comes from the Rebbe, by a Chassid, it's a Vados. It's a definite. It's not just a Yesh Leimar. And I heard it from Rabbi Avdson, who I was also preparing the shir with, well, not directly with him, but listening to his podcast. So he brings a story that the Frierdiker Rebbe, when the Frierdiker Rebbe got married, he was married to his cousin, and when he went to visit his shver, which is his uncle. One sec.
Oh, it's a cousin. Shver is a cousin.
Okay, everyone hears me?
Yeah.
1 second. How do I know if this works? You guys, it works?
I don't use it. It's too small, but yes, I can see it. You shared it with everyone.
Yeah, we see it all.
1 second. Okay. I think we're back. Fine. So the Frierdiker Rebbe gave over. A second. So I think I'm mixing up. I don't think it was his uncle. Basically, his shver, huh?
They were cousins.
So his shver was a cousin of the Rebbe Rashab.
Rebbe Avram was the son of Rebbe Yisrael Noach, and the Rebbe Nishmos Eden was the son of the Rebbe Marash. So his
Yeah, so
shver
they were
and the Rebbe
cousins.
Rashab were first cousin. The Frierdiker
Right,
Rebbe was
right. Good. So the Frierdiker Rebbe went to visit his shver, which was the Rebbe Rashab's cousin, and his shver asked him to give over a mimer that the Rebbe Rashab spoke. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said a mimer, gave over mimer from the Rebbe Rashab, and when he gave over the mimer to his shver, in the place where the Rebbe Rashab said Yesh Loimar, the Frierdiker Rebbe said he didn't say the Yesh Loimar. He just said like that's the way it is with the vados. And later, when the Frierdiker Rebbe came back to the Rebbe Rashab, so the Rebbe Rashab asked him what happened, and he told him that he gave over a mimer from the Rebbe Rashab to his shver. So the Rebbe Rashab asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, tell me what was the mimer that you gave over. Tell me how you gave it over. So the Frierdiker Rebbe told the Rebbe Rashab how he gave it over, and in the place by the Yesh Leimar, the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't say the Yesh Leimar. So the Rebbe Rashab told the Frierdiker Rebbe, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure that when I gave over the mimer, I said Yesh Leimar. So the Frierdiker Rebbe told the Rebbe Rashab that was is by a Rebbe, Yesh Leimar is by a Chassid bevados. That when a Rebbe says Yesh Leimar by a Chassid, it's for sure. So this is a story that's not just not a hergish, it's an actual story with the Rabeinu, and it was told to us. So this is anyway, just wanted to put it out there.
The Rebbe put it in a hora in the mimer.
Yeah, and the Rebbe put it in a mimer.
In
the mimer of the Chadaidi, the mimer that Chassanim say by the wedding. So it's not just stam a Farbrengen story. It's put in by the Rebbe in a Mugadik mimer. Fine. The connection of all the shuls from Galus to the Beis Hamikdosh of the future will be according to the difference of levels between the shuls. The special shuls that have an additional quality over the rest of the shuls, for like the shuls that we spoke about in the Gemara, the shul of Hutzal and the shul of Shafi Yosef in Arda, Beis Rabeinu Shebibovel, those shuls, because they're a higher level mikdash ma'at, so they will be first when it comes to connecting to the Beis Hamikdash, first in line. These shuls are going to mamish be connected to Beis Hamikdash, not just a few levels away, but actually become a part, touching the Beis Hamikdash itself. Touching and connecting the Beis Hamikdash to the Beis Hamikdash without any separation between them. And in the Ha'ara 27, he says, similar to the Lishkas Hagazis, Makom Yeshavim Shalat Sanhedrin, Shebibovel Beis Hamikdash, the place where the Sanhedrin would sit in the Beis Hamikdash, which the Lishkas Hagazis is considered also chayil. It's considered a mundane area, but it's one with the Beis Hamikdash to the extent you can't learn about the Beis Hamikdash without also learning about Lishkas Hagazis. It's one thing with the Beis Hamikdash. Shetasim Sanhedrin Eitzon Mizbeach. The halach is we have to put the Sanhedrin next to the Mizbeach. So similar to the Lishkas Hagazis, the Rebbe is saying, Yesh Leimar, that Beis Rabeinu Shebibovel is going to become so connected to Beis Hamikdash, there's not going to be any separation between them whatsoever. That it's going to be mamish one with the Beis Hamikdash. V'al yadam u'be'emtza usam yiyu mechubarim leBeis Hamikdash kol she'ar batiknisiya sheberetz ha'amim. And through these special mikdashei ma'at, the Beis Rabeinu Shebibovel, and after them will be connected the other rest of the shuls that are from the lands of the nations that the Yidden were in Golus will be connected to the Beis Hamikdash. I just want to also l'chura point out that if the Rebbe is comparing it to the Lishkas Hagazis of the Beis Hamikdosh, where the Sanhedrin were, and we know that being involved in Hilchis Beis Abchira, studying the laws of the Beis Hamikdash, it's considered as if we're building the Beis Hamikdash. So, and part of the laws of the Beis Abchira is also learning about Lishkas Hagazis. So maybe we could also say that learning about 770, like what we're doing right now, for example, we're learning about 770, is also considered technically a part of Hilchis Beis Abchira, learning about the Beis Hamikdash. So by learning this Kuntres Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel, we're actually building the Beis Hamikdash. So now we're in Ois Daled. We say the Mizay Shleimar Shamikdash Telasid Shabana Yom Meshuchlo Yigal Levi Min Hashamayim. The Rebbe is going to add even more and say like this: the Mikdash Lasid the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi, which according to, if you look in Ha'ara 28, according to Rashi and Teves in Gemara Sukkah, the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi is already built above Lamaila in heaven, and it's going to come down. It's going to be revealed and come down from heaven. So, Yesh Leimar, that this Mikdash Lasid is Galat Chila Behamakayim Shenasa Mikdash Yashav Sham is Managalos, which is Beis Rabeinu Shebibovel. We can say that it will first reveal itself in the place where the Beis Hamikdash traveled to into Galus. In the time of Galus, like we said before, Beis Rabeinu Shebibovel is the place where the Shechina moved from the Beis Hamikdash to Beis Rabeinu Shebibovel in Galus. So where is the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi going to first be in this Gala? In that place where the Shechina moved to. And from there will be moved to its place in Yerushalayim. Hashra asgile ashchina v'hamikdash ma'at ha'ikri shebibovel shenos hamikdash v'yashav sham hi gam kishehei nigalin. When you look into the Gemara in Megillah Chav Tesamad Aleph, and the Gemara says that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says that wherever that the Yidden are so beloved, that wherever the Yidden are, wherever the Yidden went into Galus, Shechina Yimahen, Shechina is always with them. And then he counts the places of Galus. And then he says, and Av Kishehei Nigalin, Shechina Yimahen. Also, when they are redeemed, Shechina is with them. Meaning, not just when we're in Galus, Shechina with us, but also during the process of Nigalin, when we are being redeemed, Shechina is with us during this redemption. And the Gemara explains over there. Kimavur b'hamshach hasugya. Sha'af kishehei nigalin, Shechina Yimahen. Shenemar, and the Gemara proves it by saying, the pasuk says, "V'shav Hashem alekecha es shavuscha." V'heishiv lo yinemar. It doesn't say that Hashem will bring back. Rather, Ela v'shav, he will come back. Hashem will come back. Malamed shakadosh baruch hu shav imahen. This teaches us that the Eibishter is going to come back with the Yidden. Es shavuscha k'may im shavuscha. That the word es, by that Hashem will come back, es shavuscha means with your shavuscha, with those who are being held captive, with the Yidden in Galus. And this is also spelled out in the Maharsha. And the Rebbe also quotes Tanya Yeres HaTshuva, the end of Perek Vav, where Tanya is speaking about, when we're talking about the Galus, the personal Galus, getting out of our personal Galus, that Hashem also comes out of Galus with us when we decide to come out of our own Galus. And Shavi Mohen Mibin Agaliya is the Eibishter comes back with us from the exiles. Kalaimar, meaning to say, Gam Berega Ha'achre, the Hagalus, even in the last moment of Galus. Nimtzis HaShchina B'Hamakim Shegalu Yisrael. The Shechina is in the place where the Yidden are being exiled. Like we said, he's in the Beis Rabeinu Shebibovel, the place where the Beis Hamikdash moved. Umisham, from that place, where the Eibishter moved to, we say he comes back with us. So where is he coming back? In the place where he moved to. Shava Kadosh Umisham, Shava Kadosh Baruch Hu Im Kol Bnei Yisrael, Lahamikdosh Shebirushalayim, Lahashris Ulagalo Yisboi, Shchinasei Leilam Vayet. From that place where Kadosh Baruch Hu moved, he's going to return with all of the Bnei Yisrael to the Mikdash in Yerushalayim to dwell and reveal himself, reveal his Shechina forever and ever. Leilam Vayet. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes back with the Yidden from the exiles. Hamikdosh Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel, Shenas hamikdosh Yashav Sham, Nimtza Shebibovel Zeh. So what does this mean? It means if the Eibishter is going to come back with us from where? From the place where he is in Galus, which is Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel, comes out. Shebibovel Zeh, in this place, Maschila v'naseis Geulas Hashchina. From this place starts and happens. This is where the redemption of the Shechina happens. Hiskalusa b'chol ha'teikev ha'shleimus leirak ba'if in the mikdash ma'at shezehu inyan mikdash ha'asit. This is where the redemption of the Shechina happens. What is the redemption of the Shechina? The redemption of the Shechina is when the Shechina is in its full revelation, where the Shechina is completely revealed and with the shleimus and with the whole takeif, the whole strength of revelation. And when that happens, that means the Shechina has geula, which means that it's not anymore mikdash ma'at, but it becomes mikdash asid. The Eibush to the Shechina, because in the time of Galus, Shechina is not totally revealed. So what do we say? We say it moves into a mikdash ma'at. What's the main mikdash ma'at? Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel. But when the Shechina has geula, when the Shechina is totally revealed, that means that it's not ma'at anymore. Rather, it becomes Beis Hamikdash. It becomes, because if the Shechina is there, then that's the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. That if it's not galus and he's totally revealed, so now it's not anymore ma'at. It's great. It's gadol. It's Beis Hamikdash HaGadol. So the Rebbe is saying over here, besignin acher. In other words, kishem sheshivas hashchina he mehamokim shenimtzes begalus, just like the Shechina returning happens from where? Where does he return from? From the place where he was in galus. Kach shivas mikdash ha'asid. So too, the return of the future temple of the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. What is the inyan of Mikdash Hashlishi, of Mikdash Ha'asid? She'inyanoi hashras v'gilei hashchina. The inyan, the concept, the definition of the Beis Hamikdash is the place where the Eibishter is dwelling and revealed. Hu mehamakayim shenosa mikdash v'yashav sham is managalus. It happens from the place where the Beis Hamikdash moved to. If the Mikdash moved here into Galus, so then the Mikdash needs to move back. So where does it move back from? From the place where it moved to, from Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel. Shesham is Galet Chila. Over there in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel is where the Beis Hamikdash is revealed first. Afterwards, once it's revealed and it starts, then it gets moved to the place where it belongs, in Yerushalayim. V'shav im shavuscha, he comes back, the Shechina and the Beis Hamikdash comes back with the Yidden to the place where it's supposed to, where the Yidden and the Beis Hamikdash are supposed to be. Now, I'm just going to read Ha'ara 31, and I want to just explain something about the two ways of explaining what the Rebbe was just saying. He first spoke about the geula of the Shechina, and then the geula, that the mikdash itself goes back in the signin acher. So the Ha'ara 31, just like we find about the Sanhedrin, that we already compared before. We had in the last page, we compared the concept of Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel to the Sanhedrin. We said that just like Lishkas Hagazis is connected to Beis Hamikdash completely, it's touching, nothing split, dividing between them. So too, Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel is going to be connected to Beis Hamikdash completely, nothing dividing between them. So over here he proves also more. It says like this: the Sanhedrin, which its place is in the Shkas of the Beis Hamikdash, what happened to them? They moved. The Sanhedrin moved by the Churban, by the destruction of Beis Hamikdash before the Churban. It moved to Tveria, and because it moved to Tveria, the Rambam actually paskins in halacha that b'Tveria hamakim ha'achin shebay ha'isa hasanhedrin b'zman ha'galus asidin lachzer tchila. The Sanhedrin will first return to Tveria because that's what the last place where they were. Because that's where they were in the time of Galus. So therefore, when it returns, it will first start there. From there, it will be moved to the Beis Hamikdash. So we're using this also as a proof that this is also what happens with Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel. Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel is where the Shechina of the Beis Hamikdash itself moved there into the time of Galus. So, just like the Sanhedrin, which is the Lishkas Hagazis, the Sanhedrin touching the Beis Hamikdash, where does it come back? It comes back first by the place where it moved to in the time of Galus. And then from there it moves to Yerushalayim. So to the Beis Hamikdash itself, where does it come back first? In the place where it moved to in Galus. And from there it moves to Yerushalayim. And I want to point out that the difference here in the two things. In the first paragraph over there, where he says that because the Eibishter is in the Mikdash Ma'at, so therefore when it comes time of Geula, so then the Eibishter, then it's not a Mikdash Ma'at anymore. It becomes a Mikdash Ha'asid already. Over there, I believe that Rebbe is his main thing, and he says B'signin Acher, like to kind of dumb it down. Because when you learn about what Geula really is, and the difference between Galus and Geula, especially the way that Rebbe taught us about how to snap out of Galus, how to change our perspective, Effen the Eigen, and to see Geula. The Rebbe teaches us the whole time that Geula starts off with a mindset. It starts off with me realizing that the Eibush is in charge, and there's a Gili of the Eibush. The whole world is one with the Eibush, and there's the Gili Alufei Shalaylam, putting the Aleph into Geula. And when the Aleph is revealed, then we stop seeing Geula. You only see Geula. So over here, the Rebbe is, I believe, going on that concept, because that's the main concept here, and saying that as soon as the Geula happens, where does it happen? It starts off here, because this is where the Shechina is, and the Shechina comes back with us. So as long as it's Galos and we don't have full revelation of Shechina, so then it's Mikdash Ma'at. Mikdash Ma'at means it's not Begilui, it's Galos. We don't see it, but it's still a Ma'at, a little bit. But the second is Geula, it's not Ma'at anymore. You accomplished Geula, and now it's revealed, and now there's no more Ma'at needed. It's automatic. We have the Beis Hamikdash. And then in the Signin Acher, I think the Rebbe is just dumbing it down, I believe, to just put it into simple Isius, that what is Mikdash Ma'at? Mikdash Ma'at means that the Beis Hamikdash went into Galus. So it became like imagine like a digital, if you saw a digital Beis Hamikdash, it kind of like shrunk, like Mikdash Ma'at. But that's Galus. Once we break out of Galus, the Mikdash Ma'at, the Mikdash once again becomes what it used to be. It becomes the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. And being that it's here in Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel in Brooklyn, 770, so this is where it happens. It changes from Mikdash Ma'at, it expands. It becomes Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. So what we're dealing here is with here, and this whole campaign that I've been pushing for the effort for everybody to get involved in. This we're dealing with, when we say the words expand 770, it means stop calling it a Mikdash Ma'at. Let's expand it and make it the Gadol, make the Ma'at, the Beis Hamikdash Ma'at, into the Beis Hamikdash HaGadol, the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi. And we're going to see that Rebbe himself uses these words to say that this is the preparation, this is how you bring down the Mikdash HaAsid. By expanding. Don't forget, we started off the shir that this whole Kuntres, not just at the end of the Sikha, that the Rebbe says, oh, we have to expand. This whole Kuntres was given out. I just want to go back again, whoever missed it. Pesach Davar. What's this Kuntres about? Bekesher im Hagdolas v'harchavas Pesach Nessus Beit HaMikdash HaMerkatzi Lubavitch 770. This whole Kuntres is about expanding 770. So don't make the mistake and think that it's a prat of the Kuntres. Okay, the whole Kuntres is here to explain why we're expanding 770. Now, back to where we're holding. Here comes the Ve'ula Yesh Leimar. So before we said Yesh Leimar, and now the Rebbe says Ve'ula Yesh Leimar. Okay, so with the Hachana before, we know already what to do with the Yesh Leimar, that it's a Vados. Now, obviously, there's a difference between Yesh Leimar and Ula Yesh Leimar. Fine, I'll give it to you. There's a difference. But I
You know
believe,
what the difference is?
What's the difference?
Based on what the Yesh Loimar means, when the Rebbe says V'ula Yesh Loimar, it's more bedogish. Yesh Loimar could be like, okay, it's written Lashon HaKodesh, it's like a Shaila Natshuva. So Chassidus says, in addition to Yesh Letaretz, it says Yesh Loimar. But when the Rebbe says V'ula Yesh Loimar, he's saying something. You have to pay attention much more.
Good. Shkoyach Gershon. V'ula Yesh Leimar Shemirum is Beloshin HaRambam. That what we're saying here about the Beis HaMikdash coming into Beis Rabeinu Shebibovel first, and then moving to Yerushalayim, is actually hinted in the words of the Rambam. Behilchis Melech HaMashiach, in the laws of Melech HaMashiach, which are the last two prakim of the entire Mishnah Torah. Our Hilcha is Melech HaMashiach, Perek Yud Aleph and Perek Yud Beis, of the Hilchis Melchamais, Melachim and Melchamais, and the last two prakim are Hilchis Melech HaMashiach. So at the end of Perek Yud Aleph, which is the first parak of Melech HaMashiach in Rambam, he uses the words Ubana Mikdash Bimkaimai. That Melech HaMashiach will, where he's explaining how Melech HaMashiach actually becomes, how he goes out of the phase of assumed Mashiach to becoming definite Mashiach. What he has to do is he needs to build a Beis HaMikdash Bimkaimai, in his place. So what's this Bimkaimai? This is the remez that the Rebbe is talking about. L'chura, mahu atzaydach lashmienu kan shebinyan hamikdash ubimkaimai. Why is the Rambam all of a sudden telling us that Melech HaMashiach, in order for him to become Mashiach Vadai, he needs to build the Beis HaMikdash in his place? And if you look at the other 33, he points out in the beginning of Perek Yud Aleph, he actually says, Baina HaMikdash, Stam. When he's speaking in general about what Mashiach needs to do, one of the things he needs to do, there's a few things Mashiach needs to do. Number one, he needs to, I'm not necessarily saying the right order, but because there's also Shakulataya about what the order is. But there's Kibbutz Galias, there's building the Beis HaMikdash, and there's bringing all the halachas back from Torah, all the mitzvahs back. Now, but then when the Rambam is talking about how Mashiach becomes from Cheskas Mashiach, from assumed Mashiach, to definite Mashiach, he chooses to add a word that he's going to be Baina HaMikdash Bimkaimai. What's this? And also, Lama Einem Mefurish HaMakum. If the Rambam Dafka wants to specify the place of the Beis HaMikdash, then tell us that he has to build the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim. Why does he say in his place? When he says Bimkaimai, he's hinting. He's hinting to the place of Melech HaMashiach while he's still in Golos. Even before he went out of assumed Mashiach, even before he became Mashiach Vadai. Hainu, which means while he is still in Galus. While he's in Galus, where he's sitting, and over here he's quoting a Gemara, Sanhedrin Tzaddik Chesed Aleph, where Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi was looking for Mashiach to ask Mashiach, Ema Saika Simar, when are you coming? And Eliyahu told Rabbi Shua ben Levi that he's sitting. He told him where to find Mashiach, and he's sitting at the gate of Rome. And he described who he is. He's sitting among the paupers and the people over there. How are you going to know who he is? All of them are taking off all their band-aids at once and putting on new fresh band-aids. But Mashiach changes one band-aid at a time. In case between each band-aid, he'll be able to, Hashem will tell him, go and redeem the Yidden. So we know that Mashiach is sitting in Galus, and he's waiting to redeem the Yidden and to redeem Hashem with them, the Shechina with them. Like we said, that the Shechina is with us in Galus and comes back with us from Galus. So this Melech HaMashiach, this Mashiach, who is sitting in Galus, the Rambam is hinting and saying he needs to be Boine a mikdosh. Boine Melech HaMashiach mikdosh ma'at shehu me'ein v'dugmas hamikdosh Shebibovel. He needs to build a mikdosh which is similar to the mikdosh of Yerushalayim, kamoi be'kenishta de Shafi Yosef, shenas hamikdosh v'yoshev sham, like that shul.
Can't hear you.
You hear me now? Okay. I don't know what happened. My earphones are supposed to be good earphones, but yeah. She says like this. Where am I holding? She says he needs to build the Beis Hamikdash. Betur hachana lemikdash asid, as a preparation for the Beis Hamikdash of Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. She is galat tchila sham. Why? Because it's going to first be revealed there, and omisham yashuvim hakadosh baruch hu bnei Yisrael Yerushalayim, and from there, where Melech HaMashiach builds a mikdash in Galus, similar to the mikdash of Yerushalayim. So him building it, that will reveal the Beis Hamikdash there, where he is. And from there, it will go back with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Bnei Yisrael to Yerushalayim. Because if you look at the Rambam is telling you, how do you know Mashiach is Mashiach Vadai? What does he need to accomplish? He needs to accomplish that he should build a Beis Hamikdash, and that by him building it, it will become the greatest mikdash, and it will bring down, it will be nisgala. Him building the mikdash ma'at, that's similar to Yerushalayim, will bring down the revelation of the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi, where he is, and therefore bana mikdash b'mekaymai, by him building his mikdash ma'at, he will bring down the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi to his place, to Mekaymai, and from there to the makam of Melech HaMashiach, and from there we'll go back to Yerushalayim. Now I wanna look at the footnotes. Footnote 34. Now he says, by the way, like as a side note, that even though we're saying Ula Yeshleiman over here, that what does Bimkaime mean? Bimkaime seems out of place. The Rebbe says the simple pshat is, by the way, the simple pshat is that one of the ways we know who Mashiach is because no one really knows the exact place of where the Mikdash goes. It's not certain. There's no way to really know where exactly the Beis HaMikdash is supposed to go, the exact place. And I think because the main problem is the Mizbeach. I think there's a certain place where the Mizbeach must be, and there's no other place the Mizbeach is allowed to be. And only Mashiach, Melech HaMashiach, is the one who knows exactly where that place is. So the Rebbe is saying, by the way, just so you know, besides for the Ula Yeshleimar, the way to answer why the Rambam is saying Bana Mikdash B'Mekaymai is because Mashiach needs to build the Beis HaMikdash in the right place where it belongs. Fine. Ha'ada 35. Now we understand the difference between why the Rambam in the beginning of the Perek just says Bana Baina hamikdosh, and in the end of the Perek he says Baina mikdash b'mkaymai. So he says Shebas Cholas a Perek Kaisav HaHalacha. In the beginning of the Perek, the Rambam is giving us the simple law. The law is, what does Melech Mashiach need to do? Shemelech Mashiach Baina hamikdosh Kipshuta. He needs to build the actual Beis Hamikdash. Mashiach give us Yumai, but at the end of the Perek, Shemiva Hasimonim Shal Yodam Koivim Mihu HaMelech HaMashiach. In the end of this, in the siyum of the Perek, the Rebbe says that Rambam is explaining to us the signs on which it establishes who is Melech HaMashiach. The Rambam is giving us simonim to know who is he. So if you want to know who he is, so the Rambam tells us first of all how to know who Cheskas Mashiach is, who can be assumed to be Mashiach. Va'ad Mashiach bevadai, and he gives us also the signs of who is Mashiach for sure. So over there he writes, Kaisevim Asav Hitzliach. If he did these things and he was successful, Ubana Mikdash Bimkaimai, and he builds a Mikdash Bimkaimai. So Shebein Pu'ulaisav Bizman Hagalos. So you see, we're not talking about the actual Beis Hamikdash in the place in Yerushalayim, because over here the Rambam is busy telling us how to know who Mashiach is. When do we need to know who Mashiach is? When we're still in Golus, when it's not clear. So we need to know who Mashiach is. What's Mashiach doing in Golus? And in these simonim of how to know who Mashiach is in Golus, he tells us Bana Mikdash Bimkaimai, because this is one of his activities, one of his pu'ulais that he does. Yeshiv Reish, who's that? Menachem. Who did this? How do I remove this? Oh, Shkoyach. Thank you very much. In the future, I'll try to remove that permission from people. Now, from the pu'ulos that Mashiach does in the time of Galus, it is included also building the mikdash, the main mikdash ma'at in Galus, but tur hachana v'hascholas ha'is Galus, the mikdash ha'asik b'fnim, as a preparation and the beginning of his Galus of the mikdash ha'asik, the mikdash ha'shlishi, as we said inside in the Sikha. Now, I also want to just point out that at the end of the Sikha, I'm going to just go to the page where the Rebbe speaks about the need to expand. He also once again uses those words that it's as a hachana to the bringing down of the Beis Hamikdash. So page 12, and he says over here, look, in the second column, the middle paragraph, Al Piha Amar Le'el, and he says, so moving Goydel Haschus to Kol Echad Echad MiYisrael, it's understood the great merit of every single Yid lehishtatef begufa yubim mamayinai, to be a part with his to partner with his body and with his money. Quickly, Ha'ara 105, because that's a very important Ha'ara. The Rebbe compares it similar to Beis Hamikdash, Hakol Chayav and Livnei Solasayid Ba'atzman B'Mamayinam Chulu, that everyone is obligated to build and to help with themselves and with their money. So he says back in the Sikha V'Chol Amar Ba'Reizim Meshubach B'Bnias Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel Kehachana Liyeridas V'Hizgalus Mita Sha'asi Teikaf Miad Mamish. He's using those same words that we just spoke about. This is building Beis Rabbeinu Shebibovel. Now, I missed in the last paragraph where he's coming from. He says V'ad lahagdala v'harchava, to making an expansion. Shehi ba'if in the priest's gather paratztak mebinyan ba'is chadash, like building a new house. Anyway, so the Rebbe is over here clearly showing us that expanding 770 is the hachana of how the Beis Hamikdash comes down, which is what he's talking about over here by the Ula Yeshleimar, what the Rambam is talking about, Bain Mikdash Bim Kaimai, means that the Malach HaMashiach needs to build a Beis HaMikdash, a Mikdash Ma'at that's like the Beis HaMikdash, and that's how Beis HaMikdash comes down. That's the Hachana and the beginning of the Hizgalus Mikdash Ost. So we did Ha'ara 36, let's do Ha'ara 37. K'may Beis HaMedrash Al Ezra HaSefer. That we see also Ezra HaSefer, who was the one that brought the Yidden up from Galus Bavel. So he was like the Redeemer back then from Galus Bavel. So the Rebbe is also just showing us that you see that this is what the Redeemer needs to do. The Goyal needs to do this. Because we see that what did Ezra HaSefer do? He made a Beis HaMedrash. And Ulahoyer Shemailas Bekinishta de Hutzel Shekrayva Beis HaMedrash Ezra HaSefer Canal Ha'ara 13. We pointed out in Ha'ara 13 that what's the whole mile of Hutzel is that Hutzel is next to the Beis HaMedrash that Ezra HaSefer built. Now, Ezra HaSefer, he was HaMashiach, Goyal Anshe Yisrael, the Galus Bavel. He was the Mashiach, the Redeemer of the Yidden from Galus Bavel. So what did Ezra do? He first built a Beis HaMedrash in Bavel. And so you see, this is one of the jobs that Mashiach has. He has to build a Beis HaMikdash. Okay, Ha'ara 38. Here's another Ula Yeshleimar. This is Ula Yeshleimar on top of Ula Yeshleimar. Ula Yeshleimar Shemashakos b'Medrash Yalkut Shemoyni Yeshaya Remez Tov Tzadik Tes. It says in the Medrash, Shebishah, everyone knows this song. Bishah Shemelech HaMashiach Ba. So the Shosh Melech HaMashiach Ba Oimed Al Gag Beis HaMikdash. He stands on the roof of the Beis HaMikdash. V'hu mashmiya lahem liYisrael v'oimer Anavi migi hazman go laschem. Everyone knows this medrash that in the time that Melech HaMashiach comes, he stands on the roof of the Beis HaMikdash and he lets the Yidden know and he tells them, humble ones, higi hazman go laschem, the time of your redemption is here. So what's he saying? What is Ka'i al Gag Beis HaMikdash, the Mikdash Ma'at shebechutz la'aretz. When it says in the Medrash that Malach HaMashiach will be standing on the roof of the Beis HaMikdash and telling the Yidden, Anav Miyaz Mangol Aschem, he's not talking about the actual Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi in Yerushalayim. He's talking about the Beis HaMikdash of when it's still Mikdash Ma'at in Chutz La'aretz. Shehu b'mokem HaMikdash of Yerushalayim, which we said is in place of the Mikdash in Yerushalayim. Shenos HaMikdash v'yashav sham. Because simply, if you just pay attention to the words of the Medrash, the Melech HaMashiach is going to be standing on the roof of the Beis HaMikdash and telling the Yidden, and if you know the continuation is that he says, and if you don't believe me, look at my light that's shining. Now, wait a minute. If we're actually talking about the Beis HaMikdash is here, Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi is here in Yerushalayim, so what's the need for Melech HaMashiach to get up and tell the Yidden, oh, Higi Hazman Go Laskem, the time of your redemption is here? Everyone's going to know it's here. He's not going to need to tell us. Especially, he doesn't mention this part in the Ha'ara, but especially with the continuation of the Medrash over there, that he says, if you don't believe me, which means that if we're actually talking about the Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi, why would anyone not believe? We must be talking about where it's still it's a shaila and people still need to be told. So we're talking about the Beis HaMikdash that it's still here in Galus and in the two stars. And this also explains why you were saying that he's standing on the roof, because if you look at Rambam, he says Shagaga is loinus kadshu. The roofs don't have the same kedusha, and Shereim is al chutz la'aretz be'erech lekedusha Eretz Yisrael, which is hinting. So therefore, he says al gag Beis HaMikdash. He's hinting to chutz la'aretz, but that doesn't have the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. Okay, that's the end of today's shir. Mitzvah Shem, next week we will continue from Ois Hey. Thank you so much for joining. The Payal we did a good thing here, and we brought down we brought down the Beis Hamikdash even more. And we should take b'zeicha that even before we finish the Zoom, we should see the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. Mashiach came to take it from Yad now, mamish, and everyone should join by promoting and encouraging expansion within their own capacity. Everyone has certain people who they're able to promote and encourage to do the expansion, and everyone also needs to get encouragement and promotion from certain people. So we all have to be involved, especially when we learn and we realize that we're dealing with the Beis Hamikdash itself. So we're really, and like I looked at the end over there by Ha'ara 105, the Rebbe compares that this to the chiyuv, to the obligation that everyone has to help build the Beis Hamikdash. So we all have to be involved in expanding 770. And I just want to share that since I started this campaign of that everyone should be involved in promoting and encouraging expansion, I came up with a Ula Yesh Leimar of my own. That Ula Yesh Leimar, that maybe the reason why expansion didn't happen until now is because the Rebbe wants everybody to be involved. He says, Hakol Chayavin, everyone needs to help. And not just b'mainan, but also begufan. The Rebbe wants everyone to help with them, with their actual selves. So how are you supposed to help a gufan? Over here we have this concept of everybody getting involved with being ma'ided, with promoting and encouraging the expansion. That's something you're doing begufay, by you actually speaking to your family and friends, acquaintances, your spheres of influence, your sviva, by showing everyone that you want expansion and you believe it needs to happen, and we shouldn't wait around. Now you are involved begufay. So therefore, I believe it's something it's mamish. We were zeicha to come to the realization that we are finally able to get involved. Everyone needs to get involved. Everyone has a chiyuv to get involved with building the Beis Hamikdash. There's no time to waste. Like we know that the Rebbe screams about that every second in Golus, we're dealing with not just 1 second, we're dealing with all Kal Yisrael and all the Malachim and Shechina itself. Shechina is in Golus. Shechina Imayim, like we learned today also, that the Shechina is with us in Golus until we are redeemed and he comes back with us. So it's not, there's mamish no time to waste. Every second that passes is a is a terrible disaster, and we need to put an end to this Golus. We need to put an end to not having the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi, not having the Galus of Melech HaMashiach. So let's all get involved and let's make this happen mamish now. Shkoyach, everybody. Agute Nacht. All the best. Psudas Teves.
All the best. All the best.